Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin Cycle, the show for reviews of albums new and old. And today I'm going to be trying out a new theme for the show, which is just called Versus. Versus is going to be an album versus an album, whether it's by the same band, by different bands, whether it's newer, whether it's older, doesn't matter. It's just one album pitted against another. And today we're going to be talking about Opeth 1996 versus Opeth 2016, which means we're talking about Morningrise versus Sorceress. So there's been 20 years between these two releases, and the band's sound has notably evolved. Namely, they've ditched the death metal, black metal aspect following Watershed. But they have remained unflinchingly a progressive metal band from their inception to now. The sound, though, has changed quite a bit. There have been multiple key lineup changes over the years, but the same lineup has produced the last two albums. Opeth gained significant popularity for their progressive metal sound, notably blending elements of folk rock with black metal and death metal. Michael Ockerfeldt and Martin Mendez decided to take their sound away from death metal with Heritage in 2008, due to what they saw as their distance from contemporary metal, which they had always felt there was a distance between Opeth and a lot of other contemporary metal bands. So first up is Morningrise, which was released in 1996. The album made a statement that they were a serious force in music following their release of Orchid. They built upon the success of Orchid, but they added a little bit more melancholy to the theme of the music. The album is made up of 5 songs, but it's 66 minutes long. Black Rose Immortal alone is 20 minutes. The album is heavy, it's progressive, and above all, it is black metal raw, which, if you listen to a lot of black metal, especially like bands like Mayhem, you know what I'm talking about, that raw black metal sound. There's certainly a lot of variety within the songs, if it's not a little bit scattered here and there, but it's hard not to be drawn to Ockerfeldt's vocal range in the album. It certainly showcases their range and musicianship from, early on in the band's career, and it really set the stage for future great albums like My Arms Your Hearse, Still Life, and Blackwater Park. And my favorites off the album have got to be The Night in Silent Water and To Bid You Farewell. But again, there's only 5 songs, so it's not that hard to pick a few good ones. And now we have Sorceress, which was released here in 2016, which continues to highlight the maturity in the sound and their style that they've developed since the release of Heritage in 2008. The style is certainly similar to the last 2 albums, Heritage and Pale Communion, which means it's more dark, it's gloomy, it's atmospheric, and it's delightfully wicked in a way. Musically, it's doomy with some folk elements and certainly some 70s era prog rock sound to it. And there are flashes of classic Opeth in the album, like in songs like Chrysalis. It's just missing that death growl that we come to know and some of the heavier distortion. But the middle of the album does get a little bit mundane. It's easy to get attracted to it early on and has a great finish, but somewhere in the middle it does kind of slow down a little bit. Songs like The Wildflowers and Era really capture the band's incredible range musically. And certainly there's some consciousness of their fundamental shift, especially when you hear the lyrics to the song Era. My favorites off this album have got to be Chrysalis, The Wildflowers, and Era. So, pit these 2 albums together, who wins? Despite my clear bias for old school Opeth, I really cannot write off their new direction. Time will tell if Sorceress can hold up as Morningrise has, and I think it will. As an album, I absolutely think it will hold up over time. And that's pretty significant given the fact that Morningrise is often put beneath some of their other releases. I mean, I don't even know if you could put that in the top 5 of Opeth albums, because they have some extremely strong releases such as Still Life, Blackwater Park, and Ghost Reveries. But it's also hard for me to divorce myself from the love I have for pre-Heritage Opeth. I'm not going to ignore the talent on display with Sorceress because it is incredible. The talent is absolutely evident in this album. But I don't quite put it even at the level of Pale Communion, which I thought was a fantastic album and a huge step up from Heritage. And even Sorceress is a step up from Heritage, but I don't think it quite reaches that level that Pale Communion had. Objectively, Sorceress is more musically adept than Morningrise, and it will grow on me. I've already listened to it a few times, and with each listen, I'm getting more and more out of it. But Morningrise really has a lot more to latch onto, and it's probably why I fell in love with Opeth in the first place, because they were this progressive death metal, black metal band, and they did it so well, which made it so hard to make the switch from their classic sound to Heritage. And again, Sorceress really does struggle to hold my interest in the middle of the album. It gets a little bit slow, a little bit light, almost too folky for my tastes. So the winner for this fight is absolutely going to be Morningrise. By a nose. Very close. But if you ask me again in 20 years, that opinion might change. But in the fight right now between the just released Sorceress and Morningrise from 1996, I gotta go with Morningrise. So that one's the winner of this episode of Versus. So my top 5 for the week is going to be 5 from my other favorite Swedish bands. I've talked about Opeth, but what about some of the other ones? First up, Amon Amarth. Deep cut from them would be Arson from Fate of Norns. That one, I just love the storytelling in that song. Catatonia off The Great Cold Distance. I'm going to pick July. That's one of those songs that really just like gets into your soul. It's a great dark Catatonia song. Arch Enemy, Dead Eyes See No Future off Anthems of Rebellion, one of the underrated albums. It's not talked about nearly as much as it should be, and Dead Eyes See No Future is one of the highlights from that album. In Flames, I'm going to go with a weird choice. In this case, I'm going to go with Free Fall off of Reroute to Remain, which is one where their style started to shift a little bit, but that song is just so good and so entertaining to listen to. And then last but not least, Dark Tranquillity. I'm going to go with Icifer off of the album Fiction. It's just a great song off a great album from a great band. It's all great. Let me know what you think about Opeth's new album, whether you think it's better than what they were producing before, or if you think it's definitely the direction they need to be going. Also, there's another segment of the show I want to do called Challenge. If you have something you want me to review that possibly I wouldn't think about reviewing, doesn't have to be metal, it could be anything, let me know in the comments section and I will get to it on a future episode. And that's all for this episode of Spin Cycle, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, you can click over here to subscribe to my channel, or you can check out my website over here at dkestner.com, where you can find out more about everything I do, including the books I've written, like Elliot Knoll, and so many others. So thanks a lot for watching.